Let me ask you something. If I told you that you could make $100 a day without a second job, without working weekends, and without doing anything dramatically different from what you're already doing, would you believe me? Probably not. And honestly, that reaction makes complete sense. Because when most people hear $100 a day, their brain immediately jumps to one thing: work, more hours, more hustle, more exhaustion. But here's the thing. Nobody tells you. The people quietly hitting that number aren't working harder than you. They've just figured out something about money that most people never learn in school, at home, or anywhere else. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that is. You're 26 years old, you have a decent job, you pay your bills on time, you even manage to save a little each month. By most definitions, you're doing everything right. But then you do the math one evening, just out of curiosity, and you realize something uncomfortable. At the rate you're going, you'll be working until you're 65, maybe longer, and the idea of ever making money without working feels like something that only happens to lucky people, rich families, or cryptocurrency millionaires on social media. So you convince yourself of something. You tell yourself, I just need to earn more. If I made more money, everything would be fine. That's the trap, and it's not your fault. It's actually a deeply wired psychological response. Psychologists call it the income-effort link, the belief that money only comes from direct effort. You work, you get paid. You stop working, the money stops too. Most of us grow up watching our parents operate exactly this way. Trade time for money every single day, for 40 years. So when someone talks about making $100 a day passively, it doesn't just sound difficult, it sounds fake. But the real problem isn't that it's impossible. The real problem is that nobody ever explained the mechanics clearly enough for it to feel real. So let's fix that. Let's start from scratch. Forget everything you've heard about passive income gurus and get-rich-quick schemes. We're going to build this idea from the ground up using something everyone already understands. Imagine you have a vending machine. You buy that vending machine for $2,000, stock it with snacks, and place it in a busy office building. Every day, without you being there, people buy chips and drinks. Let's say it earns you $10 a day in profit. That's $10 a day for doing almost nothing after the initial setup. Now, what if you had 10 of those vending machines? That's $100 a day. You didn't trade 10 times the hours. You didn't work 10 times as hard. You just multiplied the asset. This is the core idea. The $100 per day goal isn't about working harder. It's about building or buying things that generate money on their own. Things that work while you sleep, while you're at the gym, while you're watching this video. In the financial world, we call these income-producing assets. And this is where it gets interesting, because most people already know this concept exists. They've heard words like dividends, rental income, or interest, but they dismiss it because they think you need to be wealthy first before any of it applies to you. That's the second trap, and it might be even more dangerous than the first. Here's where we slow down, because this part matters. $100 a day sounds like a big number, but let's break it down differently. $100 a day is $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year. Now, if you had money invested in something that returns 7% per year on average, how much would you need invested to generate $36,000 annually? About $514,000. Okay, that sounds like a lot, maybe too much, but hold on, because that's the end destination. Let's look at the journey instead. You don't need $500,000 tomorrow. You need to start building toward that number in a way that compounds over time. Here's a simple example. If you invest $500 a month starting at age 25 into a broad index fund that returns 8% annually on average, by the time you're 55, you'd have roughly $745,000. That's enough to generate around $100 a day without ever touching the original amount. 30 years, $500 a month, $100 a day, every day, for the rest of your life. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I can't invest $500 a month right now. That's fair, so let's scale it down. Even $150 a month, that's $5 a day. Invested consistently over 30 years at the same return grows to roughly $220,000. That's still $42 a day in passive income, every day, without working. The math isn't magic. It's just time and consistency doing what they do best. Here's the psychological piece that changes everything. There's a concept in behavioral economics called present bias. It's the tendency to prefer smaller rewards now over much larger rewards later. It's why people spend $8 on a coffee today instead of investing that same $8. It sounds trivial. $8, who cares? But here's what nobody visualizes. $8 a day, invested over 30 years at 8% annual return, becomes over $360,000. That daily coffee habit over a lifetime is the difference between having passive income and not having it. Now, I'm not saying never buy coffee. That's not the lesson. The lesson is that small, repeated financial decisions carry enormous hidden weight that our brains are literally not wired to see. Our brains evolved to solve immediate problems. A tiger in front of you, food for tonight, shelter right now. The idea of doing something small today for a payoff 30 years from now feels completely disconnected from survival instinct. This is why most people never start. Not because they're bad with money, but because the reward is invisible until it isn't. The people who reach that $100 per day number aren't necessarily smarter or luckier. They've just found a way to trick their present brain into making future-oriented decisions consistently. Some of them automate their investments, so the decision is made before they can talk themselves out of it. Some of them visualize their future life so vividly that delayed gratification stops feeling like a sacrifice and starts feeling like a strategy. The mindset shift is this. Stop asking, how do I make more money? And start asking, how do I build more assets? Those are two completely different questions, and they lead to two completely different lives. Now let's get practical for a moment, because there isn't just one path to this goal. The investing route we just talked about is one road, slow, steady, and historically reliable, but there are others. Some people build a small digital product, an online course, an ebook, a Notion template, and sell it repeatedly without creating anything new. Once it's built, it keeps selling. That's an asset. Some people buy a rental property and charge rent that exceeds the mortgage. The tenant is essentially paying them to own the property. That's an asset. Some people invest in dividend-paying stocks, companies that share their profits with shareholders every quarter, just for owning a piece of the business. That's an asset. The vehicle you choose matters less than understanding the underlying principle. You are trying to own something that generates income independently of your daily effort. What all of these have in common is that they require an upfront investment of money, time, creativity, or some combination of all three. There's no version of this that requires nothing from you at the start. That's the honest part. Building assets takes effort up front, but the trade you're making is this: concentrated effort now in exchange for compounding freedom later. That's a trade worth understanding. So what does this actually mean for you right now, today? It means the $100 per day goal is a direction before it's a destination. You don't wake up tomorrow and make $100 a day passively. You wake up tomorrow and ask, what is the smallest step I can take toward owning an income-producing asset? Maybe that's opening an investment account and setting up a $50 automatic monthly contribution. Maybe that's spending one weekend building a simple digital product. Maybe it's just reading one book about how dividends work. The size of the step is almost irrelevant at the beginning. What matters is that you've mentally crossed the line from "this is for other people" to "this is a system I am building." Because here's what happens. Once you cross that line, every raise you get at work becomes potential fuel for the machine. Every unnecessary expense you cut becomes a brick in the foundation. Every month that passes becomes a compounding advantage. The goal isn't just $100 a day. The goal is to build a relationship with money that's fundamentally different from trading time for it. When you own assets, money starts working in a direction that doesn't depend on how many hours you log this week. That is the shift, and it's available to almost anyone willing to start, no matter how small. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. Most people spend their entire lives getting better at earning money. They develop skills, chase promotions, negotiate salaries, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the people who eventually step off that treadmill, the ones who reach a point where money flows in, whether they show up or not, they did one thing differently. They started asking a different question. Not how do I earn more, but how do I build something that earns for me? $100 a day is just a number, but what it represents is a level of financial freedom that completely changes the kind of decisions you get to make about your time, your work, your life. And the beautiful, strange, slightly uncomfortable truth is that the path there almost always starts with a step that feels too small to matter. It's never too small to matter. It's just compounding, quietly, invisibly, until one day it isn't quiet or invisible at all. Start the machine.